COVID Memorial Day will mark 2 years since we went into the first lockdown. It's a time when we will share our experiences, reflect what we went through, remember everybody who came together, and also reflect on the many people that lost their lives and their livelihoods. What we also need to bear in mind is during the pandemic, people came together the way I would have never imagined, the way communities pulled together, and the way we all pulled through the tough times. The footage will show you firsthand how this happened at a local level within your communities. I'd like to thank everybody who has actually taken part in this video filming, and I hope that we can all learn and reflect and move on, and please take care and look after yourselves.
When I saw the film, I thought that it was good to see my friends, and it reminded me of the background of my school, and it kind of gave me an inspiration to help my family and my mum and stuff. Now I'm in high school, and when I did that video I was in primary school, and now there's less lockdowns and stuff like that, so I guess it's better so I can go out more and stuff. I feel different because we were in lockdown and we used to have these Zoom calls and stuff, and so I feel different, as in now I don't do that and stuff, so I actually go to school and I have more lessons and I can see my friends more and things. There's no one-way system or social distancing and stuff like that now, so I feel more safe.
Well, there was lots of entries from lots of schools, and it was quite difficult to choose. I got it down to 4 in the end, and I just liked the Moorlands entry because it was a simple message, the world standing together. It just struck me as a simple message for a flag. The flags are going to be flown from the tops of the town halls in Kirklees, and each school, I understand, is going to get a copy of its own flag made for its own school.
So I was thinking about not just COVID, but what people had to go through and what other parts of the world had to go through. People had to do severe lockdowns and people getting really ill. And I thought that the world with the mask on it showed not just our struggles and people's struggles, but everyone's struggles. It was quite surreal because I didn't think it was that good. I saw so many other great ones, and school council didn't even choose mine to begin with, but the head teacher and the deputy did. Just quite crazy.
Moorlands and all the children are very proud of winning the competition for the COVID Memorial flag. They really embraced the inter-school competition that we had. We had hundreds of entries, and Bethany's was chosen out of all those entries, and we're just really proud that we've won.
None of us really knew what it was and what it was capable of. We just heard, things on the news.
It was a shock. It was a shock to everybody. I mean, we didn't know what to expect. It was just felt, I don't know, there were not, everybody was in shock. We didn't know what to do themselves, did we? We think, blooming number, you got frightened going out of the house. You couldn't do this, you couldn't do that. They were restricted, weren't you? What you could do, what you could do. Lockdown. Let's say it would have shocked the system.
Well, my wife was pretty healthy. She was a big walker. Before Christmas, fine. But then after Christmas in 2020, she became unwell. And because of the virus, we were discouraged from face-to-face diagnosis, basically.
In lockdown, I only got to see my main best friend once, and it was quite hard not to be able to see them. Like later on, we started doing Zoom calls in the morning so we could see each other for a bit more like mental health, and that helped a lot, because not being able to see your friends for ages was just quite hard for me and the rest of my family, to be honest.
I'm surprised at how quickly people got together to help each other. You know, I thought it were uplifting at times to think that people were doing something for somebody else for a change.
It's pretty much, especially doing the job that I do, it's pretty much all I could think about 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. You know, you have the worry of taking it home to your children, and you've also got the worry of bringing it into work because you're looking after vulnerable people. So yeah, I think it's changed everybody's lives.
Now, I'm not saying that delay in diagnosis would have made any difference, but it certainly didn't help. And the other thing is you couldn't talk to the consultants face to face. They were so busy. You talk on the phone, but you couldn't really get close to the sort of treatment she was having.
I went into hospital and I didn't know they were going to come out in a box. I honestly didn't, and it was a frightening experience. I feel very lucky to still be alive, actually. You know, not take things for granted. You know what I mean? At the end of the day, I could have not been here quite easily, but being in the box now, you know, as simple as that. So I don't take things for granted as much. I appreciate things, you know, more.
I've definitely learnt to learn about my family a lot more, and that has also helped me, I don't know, kind of like just develop in a better way, and I've just become a lot more happier being able to sit down and have a chat rather than, because my dad used to get from home really late and then we wouldn't really get to spend any time with him. So in lockdown, every meal we'd all be sat together, and it was just really nice to be able to have that again.
Before the pandemic, I was a volunteer on the intensive care units at Huddersfield and Calderdale with my dog Cllr. And then of course the COVID outbreak happened and we couldn't go in. But they were desperate for just little bits to help them through the shifts. So drinks, toiletries, little snacks, anything like that. So I contacted some companies within Kirklees, and then other people got involved as well, and the community just pulled together.
Well, the diagnosis began in January. I suppose with the doctor it would have been in February. Through March, and she died on the 2nd of April.
None of us really knew what it was and what it was capable of. We just heard, you know, things on the news, the guidance that we got through from the government, and it was like walking into something blind.
Just the whole of Kirklees came together, north and south. It was amazing.
Just that morning it was quiet, and she'd gone. Yes, unpleasant.
Staff were worried, you know, although that being said, you know, they were here every day. They didn't know what they were dealing with, but they still came to work.
It's really changed for me a lot. One, because I've been very bad with COVID. Yes, I've been very poorly, and my dad is more worse than me. He paralyzed after COVID for the right side, and he's got dementia as well. But thanks for God, now he's good. Everything come to normal.
I knew what the staff at the hospital did because I went on there with Cllr. But now I appreciate far more what the emotional implications have been. I appreciate life is so precious, and you know, we need to be careful to make sure that we are protected.
I think leading staff through it, you know, it was really difficult because usually I'm the one that has the answers. So, you know, usually if there's a situation, any situation that arises, I can deal with and I've got an answer for, and I can guide the staff through it. You know, so to try and guide staff through something that I didn't know and I didn't have the answers for was really difficult.
I've learnt that I I enjoy helping people. I enjoy making a difference to people's lives in whatever level or way that it is, and the value of life, more than anything, the value of life.
I've grown up a lot more and more responsible, and I take care of my family a lot more than I did, because I just rely on my parents to do everything for me. And during lockdown I've realised that I've seen my parents do work and I've seen them clean the house and everything, and it made me realise that I need to help them out and not just let them do it all on their own, because it's very hard.
So I tried to brush it off, but gradually come to terms with it. Worried about being lonely, but luckily I have family, or Carol's family, quite close.
You know, we do this job for a living and we're used to death. It's part of what we do, but not to the extent that we had at the beginning of last year. And I know that had a massive impact on some of the staff, and, you know, speaking to them how upset they were, and, you know, guilt. Some of them felt guilty. It were awful.
I think this whole pandemic has really made us think twice about what we were doing before. So hopefully there will be a lot of change in regards to everything, really, in regards to societal issues and climate change and the way that we acted just in general.
My mum had been diagnosed with cancer before the pandemic, so I've been busy looking after her and helping with her, and then my father ended up having to go in hospital with dehydration, and then whilst I was in hospital he caught COVID and he died. My mum died in the second lockdown.
Before I go to poly, I'm thinking it's not 100% believe it is COVID. I think this has happened for everybody. Till have one case in the family or people who knows. But when it's come to me, then I straight away said to my family to stay away from me, and he don't want to stay away. He catch COVID obviously. Then after that is very bad time. And we thinking maybe we lost Dad, but God is the one. God have another plan with him.
I've definitely learned that I'm a lot more resilient than I thought I was going through certain things during lockdown.
I think the future now, you know, the way we're looking at it now to where we were looking at it 8 months ago is very different. You know, it's gone back to now being a safe place, and we feel safe with everything that we do, and, you know, the vaccines and things like that. We feel a lot safer than we did. So I think the outlook is bright for care homes.
I've got 2 daughters and 1 son. My son is come home, start work in the home, we work in the sky. And my second daughter, she work in the British gas. She come home, but it's my big daughter is from, she go in the work. I'm so scared. I don't know when she go die.
I think if you were alone, you became even more alone. You really were isolated. But I think if you had family with you, it gave you the opportunity, particularly I would say those that have parents at work, I think it gave them a fantastic opportunity to be with their children. One of the things I've noticed, and it's lovely to see families going out cycling together or walking together, and the most brilliant part of it is it's carried on.
I think that's the worst thing about the whole pandemic. So many people, you know, so many families, the loved ones have died on their own, by themselves. Not just in hospitals, but in care homes and everything. Nobody was allowed in, they had to die alone. And I don't think there can be anything worse than that. I think it's the most tragic thing about this whole pandemic.
I need to cut myself a bit of slack. I put a lot of pressure on myself with like schoolwork and just in general. I'm quite a perfectionist in that sense, so to not put as much pressure on myself and to accept when people actually want to help. I sort of always want to be the one that's helping people, but sometimes I need to step back and be like, okay, and maybe I'm the one who needs a bit of help right now, and then I'll be able to help these people.
Obviously, on that time, you realize it is many people who really need help. This is because when it's all good, you never think it is people who really need your help, and you really have people for whom you can give your help.
I'd been in hospital and had an emergency operation, so that was 2 weeks before the lockdown, and then obviously the lockdown came and hit us all. Me personally I needed the support from my family and that, and obviously with lockdown I couldn't have it, so I had to stay in on my own, and also because I'm disabled and I've got health problems, I had to stay in 13 weeks because that's what the government told us.
It affected like young people quite a lot, as being able to see friends is like a big part of like growing up and stuff, like especially like people just a bit older than me and stuff, like in college, like weren't able to go out and do stuff they'd normally like do.
She's go work, she can't stay at home, and I'm so scared. And then I start to pray 4 or 5 times for my children and my friends and my brothers and sisters and my families. All the time I do like that. But it's everybody's saying, can't go in the garden, can't go everywhere, just stuck inside.
It's an experience which I guess a lot of people would never thought would have happened, and the changes that they had to adapt to survive. A lot of things has happened. We've lost a lot of loved ones, and that's been tough.
I think I actually got like a lot more independent. Like I feel like I don't need to rely on people as much. Like I can do stuff for myself,
And it was like, this is just absolutely terrible, this. It really, I mean, I'm not a get-me-down person, but it did actually hit me and think, you're actually on your own. There's nobody here at all. And that was for 13 weeks.
It was a bit awkward because like you had to like wear masks and you had to do like the one-way system and stuff, so it was a bit like awkward.
I'm scared, first time COVID start. I'm very scared, every time home, no outside. And I went to Pakistan, February, and lockdown is in March. And I'm stuck Pakistan. And my kids in this country. And he said, Mom, stay Pakistan. England is very COVID. And so for 5 months is Pakistan. And very, very scared.
At home, like the learning was kind of hard because there was no teacher to explain it, but I got to spend more time with my family.
I had to deal with the death of my brother, and that really affected me because my family originally from the West Indies, and it was just myself and him here after my parents emigrated back. So a lot of it was down to me just to, take care of everything and to make sure that he had a good send-off. And, although you had like family and friends around you, in some aspects, when that door is closed and you're by yourself, it really hits home, and all the memories keep flooding back, and, you're hoping things were different. So it still sort of, comes to me now and again, and it sort of puts me in a moment that makes me reflect and wanting to know, did I do enough for him?
I like to stay like outside, because when I was inside my house, I felt like I needed to go be like out, at least in my garden. It was really hard to stay inside.
And I think a lot of people, I mean, I'm one of them that's always said, oh, I wish the world would just stop. I feel like I'm on a hamster wheel. And the hamster wheel stopped. You know, when the pandemic came in and the lockdown, despite, and I know a lot of people, I've lost relatives, but the bad side of it is that, but the good side of it is the hamster wheel stopped and people got the opportunity to reconnect with each other.
So not just worried about me being here on my own, it was the fact then you've got the worry on top about like my daughter with mental health, other people, my friends as well. One of my friends lives on her own like me, and she actually hasn't nobody because her family live away. And that was like, all that, you know, you're not just thinking about yourself, it's other people. And then that gets you then thinking, oh, you've got other people, how they're going to cope. And it was just horrendous is the word.
What I do is video call and I see my grandchildren. I've got little 4 years granddaughter. She's so beautiful and very good. And I cry and he cry, everybody is crying. Then my daughter say, Mom, why you cry? I said, I miss you. That's why. It's very bad.
You know what? I'm taking every day as it comes. Not making any big plans to do anything because no one knows what's around the corner.
Some of the last photographs of my mum with my children, you know, we've all got our masks on.
I don't think I was learning as much when I was at home because if I want to play on games and stuff, because I know I have an option at home to go and play my games, but at school you don't have that option, so I struggled to learn because I know I've got that option to go and play, but I know I needed to learn, so I tried my best to learn, but it was a lot more harder because I kept on getting distracted by things, but like at school you don't really get distracted.
I'm one of these people, if you've got the rules, you stick by them, especially with this going on, you know, this pandemic going on. I mean, I used to sit here many times and look at news and things like that and think, why aren't you doing as you're told? Because if you did and you followed the rules, we wouldn't be where we are today. If everybody stayed in and did exactly what we were told, I think personally, my opinion is, it wouldn't have spread.
You know, I asked my son, Sajid, thank God, is everybody okay? Is no fighting, nothing at all. Sajid said, Mom, you don't know how many people is divorced, how many people is kill each other. You don't know.
Yeah, I don't personally think I did too well in lockdown.
Things could probably still get worse, so I'm not making any plans right now.
I realised I lost people, and when I was in a bad way myself, I thought, you know what, life is too short. Just get on with it, just do what you need to do.
It's changed the whole world, hasn't it? You know, I think people might have got closer. They might value the life a bit more, I think. Definitely value because of all the death that's gone on.
Homeschooling, it was all right, but there wasn't as much help as my parents were busy doing like their work and stuff.
And then my mum's best friend, Dee, character is Dee. She came along and she said, I've known your mother since I was 5 and there's no way I'm sitting here with a bloody mask on. Get him off. So she ripped her mask off and got, you know, it's just little things like that, you know, it's just, got some lovely pictures of them. But yeah, it was a difficult time.
Even when I'm speaking to my children and my grandchildren, it's just like, you know, things are going to come to try you. So you always have to try and do the best you can to overcome all the adversity because life isn't easy.
The mosque, it was closed for a bit, so I did get more time with my family a lot and so I helped my mum because what if something like this happens again? So I want to spend more time with my family and stuff.
It's changed different people's opinion on life, I think. I think you should just grab everything that you've got now because of the pandemic. I think it's made people like that. instead of saying, oh, I might do it, I might not do it. Going through pandemic, it's like, just do it. Change your life. Don't just sit thinking, I will, I will, I will. Get off the backside and do it.
I'm hoping that having gone through this, the youngsters of today might actually value time and nature and, you know, having spent time with your parents when you were younger. Maybe they'll do the same when they're older and remember the good times that they spent and do it the same for their children.
Trying to get on with my life. There's a lady in the choir I quite like. Not sure whether she likes me. I'll ask her one day.
With how it is now, I feel like you've changed as a person, because you know how you acted before and you might have been a bit immature with things and take everything for granted, but now afterwards, and you've realised that and you've taken that time with your family, and it's just changed in the way that how you think about things.
Well, my life in school has changed a lot, like my attitude towards school has changed a lot. I don't take it as for granted as much. I think now I prefer school. I prefer coming and like seeing my friends.
I feel like compared to then, I still feel pretty similar. I think that, especially after listening to everything that everyone else has said, I think that, you know, my outlook is still the same. That I think we should try and kind of band together just as a community really, and try and use the pandemic and everything bad that's happened to try and make something good from it.
I feel like my view of things is more positive, and I just appreciate everything while I have it now. So I feel like I have changed from the first video, and it was more negative then because you didn't know what was happening. But now I feel more positive, and I feel like I have more of a connection with people now, and it's definitely changed my view and my perspective.
My thoughts to COVID are still like the same. I think we should all be careful of like what we're doing and stuff. But as a person, I think I've changed in the way I act and the way I am.
I thought the film was very eye-opening, and I didn't necessarily think, because where I live it's quite a secluded place, I didn't really think there was as much going on as there was. You know, I didn't really watch the news, I didn't really keep up with all that. And to watch the thing we've just watched, it really was an eye-opener about what actually happened during the lockdown and how different people experience different things.
For me personally, I think that my view has changed slightly, but not that much, because with everything that went on, I still don't think we're ever going to go back to the world how it was before. So I'm still like wary, and when I go out with my grandma, for example, I'll still wear a mask even if it's not so the guidelines and stuff like that, because I never think COVID's just going to disappear. So my views before are pretty similar to the views I have now on the situation, and still wanting to see people but keep everyone safe at the same time.
We can support each other and sympathise. But as well as that, we can think about the amazing things that we have achieved as communities together. We have been better when we have helped each other, when we've looked out for each other, when we took the time to think if a neighbour needed some help with the shopping, if a key worker needed a pizza. In small things and in big things, we have seen each other in need, and we have been our very best selves when we have responded to that. My hope for our communities right across Kirklees is that we can hold on to that as we move forward out of these pandemic times. In our lunch clubs and sports clubs, our offices, care homes, businesses, in our faith centres, our hospitals, our schools and colleges, wherever we are, wherever you are today as you watch this. We have practiced through this pandemic shining a light for one another. I promise today from where I am to work in my place and with my community to keep that light shining. I hope that all of you will too. We need to keep caring for those who are still vulnerable, ill or bereaved, and we need to take the best of all that we have learned and hold fast to those good things for the future. Thank you for sharing in these stories of the pandemic today, for being part of this memorial. As a person of faith, my prayers and the prayers of my community are with you. We are peoples of all faiths and none here in Kirklees, but together we can keep getting out there, connecting to one another, caring for one another, and being the difference that we all want to see in our communities. Thank you.